guys, my name is Redux and welcome back to episode number 5 of this Let's Build series. As you can see behind me, there's been a little bit of progress made off camera. I'm going to quickly try and speed through all the changes for you guys, and then we're going to dive right into the episode. So I think the most obvious parts are the buildings are now done. I'm going to do a quick fly around them. No interiors on them, but I've just been kind of getting them fleshed out and finished and putting the basic details on them, similarly to how we did the first house. And I've been playing around with a few different details, like these hanging baskets and sort of odds and ends like that. If we fly over here, there's a few more I've been trying out. On these houses, I've put a few jungle and I believe these are jungle and oak leaves hanging down these houses, just in a few ad hoc places, which brings a bit more character to the build. It kind of looks like ivy creeping along the building. Made a few piles of chests. This is meant to be like a little washing up area with some shelves, and here are some like towels drying on a rack. I've tried this out. I don't know if I like this, but this is meant to look like almost like a little vineyard or like a little berry field where they're just growing a few little berries and whatnot. And I think those are the primary bits. Oh, I added chimneys. Yeah, I added chimneys, something I completely forgot to account for previously, but I think a chimney brings a lot of character, especially with the animations from the campfire block that they added in, I think, 1.15. So when you see the village from afar, say we're over in this location, you can actually kind of see that smoke rising above the tree line there. It just gives a bit of life to your world there. Beyond that, I'm not sure if on the last episode we had sort of the lily pads and the grass in here, so I may well have added that. I've also leveled out this pink wool here from the barn. I've added a few rocks up in this area. You can see some back there. I may well have added some rocks here. I can't remember how many I'd done previously. I probably should have watched back the episode, but the main thing is I've cleared out more area. Now I think this is going to be the entirety of this village. I've decided to make it a little bit bigger. There'll be some houses down in this area and maybe a little dock. I can't quite like this island and I think it could be fun to do something with it, but I'm not sure yet. But I think this is like a nice little area that kind of naturally lends its way to sort of where small boats would come in and out for trading, so I'm going to add that there. Maybe a marketplace here where there's like a fishmonger's in the middle, and then a few houses in this area. And then up here, I thought I could do another couple of houses, or maybe like a little parkland or something. I'm not 100% sure. If you have ideas, put them in the comments. Again, I still haven't released any episodes as of recording this episode. However, hopefully I'll be releasing them soon. And if I don't implement any of the comments, again, I apologise. But any ideas I think are cool, even if we don't use them in this particular build. It may well be something that we do for sort of future builds, so please keep comments coming, even if they're not being implemented right away. I think I'll just quickly cut that down as well, that was looking a bit out of place. So yeah, another thing just to note, just a very, very small thing while I've got you guys here, is that I've actually managed to get the replay mod working. Yeah, it's been released for 1.15 to the public now, whereas it was previously for some certain specific YouTube communities who had access to it. But now everybody has access to it. Now, I've used it in the past, but I've never had luck. I've always had issues rendering out my builds and whatnot, especially for longer duration recordings, which I think is probably more down to my PC than the program. In fact, I think it's entirely down to my PC than the program. However, after about 5 runs, 5 attempts, spanning about 4 or 5 hours in total playing with this mod, I finally got one to render out, and I was really happy with the results. So we're actually going to try, and I can't emphasize enough how much. I mean, I'm gonna try. I cannot guarantee that this will work, but I'm gonna try and do a replay of building up this barn. So shortly, we will be cutting to a time lapse, I hope, of me building this barn. If there is no time lapse, I'm sorry. You'll hear me apologizing shortly. But we'll show the finished product, and I'll have to go back to the drawing board with working out the sort of the intricacies of that mod and why it maybe hasn't worked. Maybe if I can get some more performance out of my PC, that might be something I need to look into. And also this episode, I kind of want to have a quick look what we're doing with these farms. They're only small areas, so I think what we'll probably do is do one of them on camera, and then I'll finish the rest up, come back with you, and then we'll discuss the next episode. So without further ado, let's get right into a barn building time lapse. Let's go. Well, I think we can safely say that the time lapse was a success. Maybe. I hope. I really hope. I really hope it was a success. I have rendered it out now and exported it to a video file, and it seems to have worked. So hopefully you'll see some footage from that in the final video, which is cool. Didn't turn out how I was expecting it to, and I've added a couple of other bits. I added some additional support structures, some leaves around the edge, and I also did like a very bare bones interior to this with some sort of shelves and barrels and lamps, and I made a little second floor, but there's nothing up here. I'm not really an interior builder by any stretch of the imagination, so this is about as good as it will get for now. I mean, if anyone's really interested in seeing interior stuff and seeing me actually sort of really work on that, put it in the comments and I'll see what I can do. It's maybe something I can work on and practice, but for now I think I'm going to keep this stream to mainly sort of terraforming and exteriors, but we'll see how that goes. And one thing just to touch on this build is that obviously it is on a 45-degree angle, it is perfectly diagonal. And when you're doing a diagonal build, it's quite hard to put detail in sometimes, but I tried my best. I'm not quite sure if I like how this is looking, but I didn't really want to use glass because it's a barn. I wanted it to have a more rustic feeling. The only other thing that I may well, or may yet still change, is the roof. I know previously in a previous episode I mentioned that I probably wouldn't use the prismarine, but I went for it initially just to kind of keep with the theme, and I've just taken the sandstone out for this one, so you've still got a heavy presence of wood, and we're still using the stark prismarine for the roof, but we'll see how we feel about it as we start to build up all the areas around it. Cool, so I think what we're going to do now, or what I said before the time lapse, because this is actually the following day from doing the time lapse, is we're actually going to look at these fields. Now, these fields are going to be super bare bones and basic. I think we're going to use sort of cobblestone, maybe some stone brick, probably some, not some infested, where's the cracked stone brick, maybe some andesite as well. And we may well want to just quickly grab while we're here some of the stone varieties. So if we just quickly grab that, I think what I'll do is I'll make a quick palette here. So we've got cobble, we have stone here, and then 2 andesite. Okay, and there I'm just trying to create like a rough gradient, at least in terms of texture. So if we grab the stone ones as well, we've got cobblestone stairs, we'll need stone brick stairs, and the slabs as well of each. And then we'll just quickly, oh not stone, that was not what I wanted. Cobblestone, so I just need the slab for that slab. This is where you guys get to see all the awkward, weird bits of building that I usually do when I'm recording off camera, so I do apologise. So I think the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to take one of these rings, and then I'll go off camera and I'll finish them all and show you the finished product. So let's take this super weird shaped one here. So all we're going to do is take this outline that we created off camera previously, and we're just going to replace all of these with stone brick real quick. Okay. Cool. So now we've got that. I think one of the things that I really want to make sure shines through on this is that we've got a clear sight line into the farm from here, so we don't really want to have it much higher than this at this level. Now I think in terms of entry, I think we're going to want to probably put some gates in. For now we're just going to stick with spruce, that may well change in future, and we may want to just quickly add to the pathway up to it as well. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at the edges that are kind of away from the path. So from here you'll be able to see into the farm just about all the way around, and then you get to here and you're kind of not worried about this back bit here. So I think I'm just going to go back like this, and I'm basically just going to try building this back part up, and then we've got go to the middle there, so it just slowly kind of goes up in a gradient, and I think that's what we're going to maybe start with, at least for now. And what we probably want to then come do is put some block variation in here, just make this look like it's a little bit maybe run down, for example. So let's pop that down like that maybe. Don't want to have it too much going on here. Okay, that's kind of looking roughly right there. Okay, and then I'm going to come through and I'm going to replace some of these with stone brick, the cracked variation. Not going to think too much about it, just going to place the blocks kind of wherever I get a feeling that they should go. And let's have a quick look at the cobblestone. We'll probably just place cobblestone near to the areas where we've got the cracked brick, so like so. Maybe we'll pop one here as well. And the only other thing was the andesite. I don't think we're going to go with the andesite. I'm just going to get rid of that. I think I'm kind of happy with how it looks as is. So I think the only other thing we may want to do is throw in some variation in the slabs up here. So, oops. Unfortunately, we obviously don't have the sort of a cracked stone brick variant for slabs, which I think would be a really cool touch for them to add, but we currently don't have that in the game. So now one thing I think will bring a little bit of interest to this build is just to bring a little bit of height variation in. So we're actually going to use the fact that we've stepped that up there to actually step this section up like so. And that will just, again, that will be a bit interesting when we put the crops in. You're going to get your eye drawn kind of naturally up this way. So the next thing we're going to need is a water source. We're also going to need a tool, the famous diamond hoe. So we're going to let's get all of this off our hotbar actually. And I think maybe we'll go with turnips? Beetroots. Okay. For some reason I thought turnips were in the game. That's fine. So, oh, okay. I don't think I terraformed any of this, so this is, I think that's all natural. That's fine. Put that in there. Maybe we'll get another water source here, and then maybe one here, and we should kind of be golden on that. Yep, that should kind of do it. So for now I'm just going to hoe or till all of this soil around here, just so we get prepared to put in all the farmland. Now what this is going to show us is that we're actually going to make some additional changes to the structure. And that is in areas like this. We don't really want that soil poking out from there. I suppose in this instance it's not the end of the world, because in a way it's kind of just looks like the sort of there's just a little bit of mud piled up against it. So maybe what I'll actually do is just on a few of these blocks just leave that bit poking out, and that kind of just looks like a little bit of mud that's been like kind of kicked up against the wall. I kind of like that. I've never actually tried that before, but we're going to roll with it here. Just again, a really small subtle piece of detail that you can throw into your build just to try and make it look a little bit nicer. So now what we're going to do is, this isn't what I want. I need the seed variant of this. So beetroot seeds would help. And what we're going to do while I get the advancement is just smatter some around the water sources. Okay. Just again, this is similar to like what we do with the block variation, where there's no rhyme or reason to it. Now I think what we're going to go for is maybe some of these fields will be a little bit more sort of overgrown, so I'm going to put some coarse dirt in some of these areas that we've got here where we've not put crops. Some here, some here. That's going to kind of give us the look we're after. Then I think we're going to put some leaves down. I think I'm going to use jungle. I'm going to want some sweet berry bushes, which will be here. And then, is there anything else we want? Yeah, probably, but let's just leave that alone for a second. So I think what we're going to do is just put a few leaves around in some of these areas. Cool. And then I want to get some of the tall grass block. So let's grab some of that actually. And let's just dot these around on some of these areas of coarse dirt. We can grow sweet berries on this. This is cool. I didn't actually know that. Let's put some sweet berries here as well. Cool. I'm liking how that's looking so far. I'm wondering what to do with these areas here. I think we leave them for now. Actually, I have an idea. Let's just put some melons down, just as the block. Actually, let's leave that block free. Pop one there, and we'll put one there. And the other one, I'm kind of feeling like we put one there. And maybe up against this wall. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's kind of starting to look quite nice. Again, just bringing a little bit of variation in. Now, the only other things I'm thinking of putting in here is a fence with one of my favourite additions in Minecraft, a lantern. And one thing I'm actually looking forward to a lot is the addition of, what do you call it, the chain block, I believe it is, in the Nether update. I think that's like super cool. I like the idea of that, and you'll be able to hang chains down quite low. And that'll bring some light in for us. I think we'll just throw one back here as well, for good measure. And I suppose the last thing that we really can do is bring some bone meal in. Now, in terms of the other fields, I don't think I'm going to want to put turnips in all of them. I imagine turnips, I'm calling them turnips again, beetroots in all of them. Maybe we'll do one field with carrots and one with potatoes, maybe. But I think otherwise we want to kind of go mainly on the beetroot there. And speaking of that, I've managed to miss a lot of blocks. It's amazing what you miss when you're talking and building at the same time. It genuinely is. And what I may do, because I've marked out a field up there, and there may well be some fields kind of going up there as well, and there's one there. I might make them some flower fields or something a little bit different, but obviously I'll show you guys what that looks like once it's actually completed. But for now, that kind of gives you an idea of what we're after. I'm going to replicate that to the others, and then I will be back with you guys. So I'll see you in a bit. And just like that, we have some finished farmland. Oops. Let's pop those back. Yeah, I've just done these three for now, with this kind of theme, and we're just taking a quick look at it in the shaders. I think not all of the crops are fully grown up, as you can see. Ideally, I think there may be some commands to stop vegetables from growing as well, because it would be nice to have some growing a little bit more than others. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as is, just to give you the idea of what it's going to look like. And there's some sweet berries that have dropped. But yeah, there's some potatoes in this one, beetroots, not turnips, in this one. And over here, we've got some carrots. Possibly I might replace these with pumpkins, maybe, instead, because there's going to be a lot of green in here, and the potatoes have a pretty monotone colour as well, so they don't bring their own thing to it, really. So I may well put pumpkins. Yeah, I think I will put pumpkins in this one. But yeah, just do a quick fly through or a quick walk through maybe, and you can see it's kind of got that effect we wanted. Like, it's really lush, really green, but it's looking a little bit overgrown. And I quite like having these lamps, like copious numbers of lamps. I think it will look really nice at night time. Now, one thing I have done in this world is I've actually locked the daylight cycle for now, just because it's much easier for me just to stay building in sunlight. I just think it's much nicer. It's usually the way we admire our builds. So what I'll do at some point is, once we finish this village, so I'll turn it to night, and we'll fly through and we'll look at lighting and do some hidden lighting, and that'll probably be an episode of its own. But yeah, that will be it for this episode. I think off camera I'm just going to do this field and this one here, maybe plan out a few others. I think next episode what I would like to tackle is maybe doing these rocks, or I think maybe I'll do these off camera. They're pretty boring, and I could spend hours talking about them, as I'm sure I may be already clear. I talk a lot, so maybe I'll do these rocks off camera, a few other bits off camera. But I think we're going to start looking at this section next episode. So I think we're going to have a really productive episode next week. Next time we're going to have a whole load of foundations laid. Probably a bunch of time lapses, maybe do this dock. I really want to have a really full episode, because I'm really keen to get this first project done and really get cracking on our next project. Now, one idea I have for our next project, just as a little sneak peek for anyone who's made it this far, we're going to be working out in the swamp, and we're going to be making like an enchanted swamp area with like huge mushrooms, custom mangrove trees, little rickety walkways. I think it will be a really cool vibe. And there's also a witch hut here, so I think we'll be giving that witch hut sort of an overhaul of sorts, but I'm not 100% sure yet. But I've got so many ideas for this series, and once again, if you have made it this far, you're still watching, still enjoying these episodes, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot to me, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next episode. But until then, goodbye.